Do you think he's ready for children at 21 years old? He hasn't already got any, has he?
Maybe he wants a sugar mummy.
You definitely got yourself a toy boy, love.
Yeah, I have. Can't wait to play with him.
Charlotte's friends are working overtime trying to talk some sense into her, but Charlotte doesn't care for logic. In fact, she thinks they're jealous. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We're here to discuss Charlotte and Johan in 90 Day Fiancé UK. We haven't seen these two in the last few episodes, so I was really excited to see their faces pop up. The last time we saw them, Charlotte was leaving the Dominican Republic and, her anxiety was kicking in because she didn't know when she was going to come back. And at first she wanted to come back in 6 weeks, but Johan was like, actually, you need to save money, stay home. And that triggered a lot of her insecurities because, of course, as you know, he works at a resort and she thinks that she's going to be replaced. So that was where we left them. So we're going to hop right in to where they are currently. Before we do, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. We jump right in with Charlotte. She's back at home and immediately you can feel that the vibes are different. It's not her usual banter. There's solemn music. And we find out that about 10 weeks ago, her dad went to the hospital and they thought that he just had pneumonia, but it turned out to be cancer. Then he passed away as of 5 weeks ago when we see her. Talk about sudden. How does one even process something like that? And one of the first things that we learned about Charlotte is just how family oriented she is. And we see her looking at pictures and she's describing their relationship, how they were basically two halves of a heart. So she's taken this really hard, and this loss has caused her to reflect on her life and the things that matter.
Because one day you're here, and then one day you're not. Everything you think matters in life, like the materialistic things, money, that's all left behind.
And love is what matters to her, and she believes that her father would support her in the decision that she has made, which is that she's looking to push forward her wedding because she's like, anything can happen at the drop of a hat. I don't want to waste any time. I want to get my family started. I want to marry Johan. When I heard this, I was like, okay, girlie. So you really don't want extra time to evaluate things with Johan. You just want to jump in. And while I don't agree with it, I can empathize with her rationale because I think she wants to get past the marriage so that she can apply for the visa, I'm guessing. I'm unsure if they're trying to do the K1 or the spousal. You guys can remind me. But I would imagine with the spousal, he would get citizenship and all that good stuff at the same time. So I'm imagining that that's the setup that she's looking for. I'm not sure. But she has a conversation with Johan. And at first I was like, I don't know how he's going to take this because as you guys recall, he wanted this big wedding. And if she's trying to rush things, she's not really going to be able to save up for something big. So she calls him and she's like, hey, this is what I've been thinking. And she's like, so what do you think about us getting married the next time I go? And he's like, yeah, maybe. And she's like, would you like that? And he's like, yeah, perfect. And so I'm not sure that he is fully understanding what she's saying. I don't know if he thinks that she's just being cute because she misses him. I know that he wants to come to the UK and he wants a better life for his family, but I'm trying to put myself as a 21-year-old. If I already had a date set a year from now to get married and my partner's like, actually in the next month, it really puts things into perspective. And if you're not ready, I could see how it could rattle you. He's saying, yeah, perfect in this moment, but I'm like, the trailer is making me nervous, so I'm not sure. But I'm like, Charlotte, I feel you, but this is rushed. And I understand how she at 35 is ready and feels grounded in that decision, but she's chosen a guy that's much younger than her. But in this conversation again, she drives home. She's like, hey, it's going to be a small wedding because he wanted this big old production with his whole family. And she's like, that's not what we're having. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, basically, I just want us to be together. Okay. And Every time I see them, the age gap just jumps at me. Even in this like conversation, like if I were to see this scene and you were to tell me that that was her kid brother, like I would believe it because he doesn't form complete sentences. It's like little brothers talk to you like you're a girl that's annoying them. If you have a little brother, you know, they're very short with you. It's almost like they're a text away from ghosting you. And that's the vibe that I feel like Johan gives. He'll throw her a bone every once in a while, but for the most part, it's like, yeah, sure, perfect, I'm happy, like that. And so the next time that we see Charlotte, she's cooking up dinner for her and her friend Maria. And as you guys recall, Maria, to say she's on the fence about the marriage would be saying it lightly. Maria's here to get the tea on the DR trip, so she asks for a quick recap. And so Charlotte tells her that she was looking at a few wedding venues, but she's thinking about what to choose because of costs. And this point leads Maria to be like, oh yeah, so will you be paying for all of the wedding and all of the visa stuff? And Charlotte is like, well, yeah, I would be doing most of it because I make more money. And Charlotte, you're not being honest with yourself and you're not being honest with your friend. You're doing all of it. Charlotte says that the reason he can't really contribute is because he takes care of his family full time, which totally I believe, and I believe that the pay gap is huge. However, we have seen Charlotte contribute to his set expenses. So she's doing a lot more than she's saying she is. But at the same time, I can understand how Charlotte is like, I'm a grown woman. I'm not asking for your help. My money situation with my man is my business. I can see that. But I can also understand her friend being very concerned. In this exchange, you can see that Charlotte is trying to make her situation like palatable for her friends. She's obviously been getting so much flack the whole time. So she really just wants people to just be happy for her, but at every turn, everyone's always like picking at it or asking questions that feel a little invasive. And her friend Maria, you know, is still working hard to try to shake Charlotte. She's like, don't you think that it should be equal? That it shouldn't all fall on you? And this is the part where Charlotte explains where his money goes. But again, my side eye is that I feel like she does a lot more, so it makes me wonder if he's actually using his money towards his family. I don't want to believe this, but there's a big possibility that he's having a party with the money that he's earning because he knows that she's taking care of everything. I just think that that scene was just really telling. Her last day where she left her card with him, it just didn't feel right in my spirit. But overall, my feelings about this is that this relationship dynamic isn't for everybody. It's not ideal, but the beauty about relationships is that they are their own little worlds and you get to make the rules. What works for you doesn't have to work for me. What you do in your relationship doesn't have to affect what I do in my relationship. So I think that a big aspect of this is that Charlotte is an active participant. She hasn't complained about her expenses. She's, in fact, offers to do more for him. So while we could be feeling that she's being taken advantage of, she's like, honestly, money is the least of my worries in this situation because it's what's going to make my partner happy. That's her situation. But this conversation just keeps getting deeper because it's time for her to tell Maria that she's actually moving the date forward. Instead of it being in January, she's moving it to September. Maria's like,
We're probably going to bring the date forward.
Oh,
Maybe September.
it's very, very soon.
what's the rush? You're going to be married anyway. Like, why speed up the timeline? And when Charlotte initially told us, the viewer, that she was moving it forward, she said it was because of her dad, because the whole situation has made her rethink everything. And she's like, you only live once. But in this conversation, she's like, well, we're already trying for a baby, so I want to get him here quicker. And whoa, Maria's like, you're trying right now? Why would you, like, she doesn't say why would you do that, but she's like, you could easily find yourself in a situation where you are pregnant and you are here by yourself. And I agree. I'm like, why? I understand. She's feeling like her bio clock is ticking, but this is risky. Why not start this when he's already here? You can start the day he lands, but to start when you have no support, you're already providing income for yourself and all of his family. You're trying to add a baby to the mix when he's not even here to contribute $5, £5. And Maria at this point is like, gloves are off. How well do you know him? Is this his first kid? Are you sure he doesn't have kids around? And Charlotte is peeved because she's like, why can't you guys just be happy for me?
No.
How can you be so sure?
I just kind of get the feeling sometimes that people just cannot be happy for me and they always have to question everything about my relationship.
She's feeling like everyone is raining on her parade, and oh my god, these situations are so hard when you don't like your friend's partner. Sometimes we don't realize how intrusive certain comments can feel when you're on the other end receiving them. I understand wanting to protect and orient your friends, but if you're constantly voicing things against your partner and they're choosing to stay with their partner, it's only going to drive a wedge between you. And you don't want that. At the end of the day, Charlotte is an adult. She's made her decision. Say your piece and then let her take the reins. But this back and forth is going to get old. Unless you're seeing some abusive acts, there's no reason to intervene. At that point, you really have to let it go. Charlotte is like, yo, no one wants to be happy for me. So this is another moment where I really empathize with her because when we met her, she mentioned that, you know, around this time, she's seeing all of her friends move on, create their families. And she seems like such a positive person that I have no doubt that she's been a cheerleader in everyone's life. And so finally, when it's her time to shine, she's not really feeling that wholesome support. So the next time that we see her, she is with her friends again, but this time for her bachelorette party, aka a hen party. I had never heard of that before, but that's what they're calling it. It's at this very like chic looking restaurant. They have these really nice decorations. Charlotte looks gorgeous. She's wearing this like white sequin dress. And when she turns to her friends, they're all wearing Johan masks. It's so funny, so cute, my type of party. And so I'm guessing this is the night before she flies out to the Dominican Republic to get married. So it's a big deal. Her energy is up. They quickly get into hen party games, and it's one of those where she tries to guess what he would say. And apparently Maria got in touch with Johan, I guess through WhatsApp. That must have been very interesting because she asked him questions and he responded through voice notes. I personally thought that this was really sweet of Maria to do because she's been the main one loud with criticism and doubt. And I'm sure that this moment felt good for Charlotte to know that her friend sought out some sort of moment with Johan. Well, a moment that I want to call out is that Maria asked Johan, what was your first impression of Charlotte? Charlotte is like, oh my god, I think he thought I was quiet. And her friends were like, yeah, sure, Jan. Quiet? Yeah, Charlotte doesn't give me the vibe of a quiet, okay? But maybe she was like shy because he was cute. I don't know. But they were like, girl, no. Johan answers the question and he's like, I saw her and I said, wow, that's the woman like that I'm gonna marry, that I'm gonna be with forever. And I just want to show y'all her friends' faces.
I said, oh my god, this is the woman I want for all my life.
Oh my god. He knows all the right things to say. What?
These people do not believe in this union. You can tell that they're solely there to support Charlotte, but they would rather be anywhere else. They're clearly not in support. And Maria let out like a sly comment. She was like, he just knows exactly what to say. All of them were so shady. But the thing is, Charlotte was so busy swooning that she didn't even notice. She didn't catch any of the shade. She is drunk in love, okay? And she's just gushing about how he always makes her feel good. She feels seen by him. And it doesn't last long because a friend immediately is like, So you sure about this? How does his mom feel about him marrying an older lady? And the way he emphasized older lady, Charlotte is just 35. She's not old. The age gap is massive, but her as a woman, she's not old, okay? But this is where Charlotte is like, well, she is 2 years older than me, so yeah, there's that. But she accepts me. She's fine. It all sounds worse than it is because of the age gap. I do want to say two things. One, Johan's mom obviously had him when she was a teenager. Teenage pregnancy in DR is unfortunately an epidemic. It happens a lot with people that are consensually together, people that are being groomed, people that are being assaulted. It's unfortunately really common. So there's that. Two, her friends are trying to shame her, but you guys, I'm not trying to shame her. My brother is 22. I'm 33. I wouldn't even dare to look at someone his age. Johan looks boyish and he hasn't lived a lot of life, so I'm struggling to see what they could possibly have in common. So this is her bachelorette party and her friends are going on, and at this point Charlotte is so over the criticism. If you can't beat him, join him. So at this point Charlotte's like, yep, I guess he wanted a sugar mama, and one of the guys is like, yeah, you got yourself a boy toy, and she goes, can't wait to play with him, yeah? She's like, at this point, y'all are all jealous. Eat your heart out. I don't care. I don't care. But even with all the sass, they're still asking questions. They're like, hey, are you going to get a prenup? And she's like, no. But also, you guys, this is her hen party. This is her bachelorette party. All of these concerns, all of these questions, y'all should have asked it before. This night is supposed to be about her. Her decision is already made. I think that the time has passed. You just have to accept it. Y'all need to keep it light. Y'all need to stay playful. And they do eventually. They end up partying and drinking tons of Prosecco. So the next episode, you guys, is the wedding episode. And they keep making it seem like he's not going to show up. And that could be possible. I don't believe that they would spoil it for us like this. If he actually didn't show up at the altar, I feel like they would have teased it to us. They wouldn't have just made us believe that or showed us that. So I think that something else is going to go down, personally. Yeah, you guys, that was it. Let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. What did you guys think about the friends' comments? Would you have still tried to talk some sense into your friend at her bachelorette party? I would love to know. I will be reading them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.